Want to know what billionaires really wear on their wrists? You're in the right place. Forget the ads, forget the hype, because the truth is, the richest people on earth don't always wear what you think. Some go for understated classics that barely whisper their price tag. Others treat their wrist like a billboard for power. And a few? They surprise everyone with choices that seem almost ordinary. Today, we're pulling back the curtain. Here's the thing, they don't always wear what you think. Some billionaires go after the unicorn pieces, the million-dollar watches that only show up at auctions and in glossy magazines. But others? They flip the script completely. They'll walk into a boardroom or a gala with something shockingly simple on their wrist pieces you and I could actually buy. That's the twist. For some of the wealthiest people alive, it's not about flexing with the rarest watch. It's about comfort, history, or even just personal taste. The contrast is what makes it so fascinating. In the next couple of hours, we're going deep into the wrists of the world's richest people, not just which watches they wear, but why. Every choice, whether it's a humble Seiko or a $1 million Richard Mille, reveals something about power, taste, and psychology. These aren't just timekeepers. They're codes, signals, a language of status and self-image. By the time we're done, you won't look at a watch as a simple accessory ever again. You'll see it for what it really is. A statement of identity, a window into how the most powerful people on earth want to be seen. The icons of wealth, Patek Philippe and Vacheron Constantin. When billionaires want to whisper status instead of shout it, they turn to houses like Patek Philippe and Vacheron Constantin. These are not brands chasing trends. They're institutions. Quiet legends. Timeless. Exclusive. Take Bernard Arnault, the richest man in France. He could wear anything. He owns fashion empires. And yet, what do you catch on his wrist? A Patek Philippe Nautilus. The same steel sports watch you've probably seen a dozen times on Instagram. But here's the twist. When he wears it, it doesn't feel like hype. It feels like heritage. And it's not just Arnault. Jay-Z, arguably the billionaire of culture, wears one of the most complex watches Patek ever made. The Grandmaster Chime. Price tag? Over $2 million. But more than that, it's a signal. He doesn't just collect wealth, he collects legacy. Have you ever wondered why the richest man in France chooses the same Nautilus you might see on Instagram? The answer is context. On one wrist it's flex, on another, it's power and silence. Rolex. The billionaire's workhorse. When people think Rolex, they imagine hype wait lists, headlines, prices climbing like crazy. But here's the contrast. Among billionaires, Rolex often shows up not as a status toy, but as a workhorse. Take Warren Buffett. The man could buy Patek Philippe factories outright if he wanted to. But what's on his wrist every single day? A yellow gold day date. He's worn it for decades. No rotation, no flexing on Instagram, just one watch that's become as much a part of him as his glasses. Then you've got Mark Zuckerberg, net worth north of $100 billion, but the guy has been spotted with a plain Rolex Explorer worth around $5,000. For context, that's less than what some YouTubers spend on sneakers. And yet, it fits Zuckerberg's whole brand. Low-key, minimal, functional. That's the thing about Rolex at the very top levels of wealth. The Day-Date and the Explorer aren't about flash, they're about utility, familiarity, and identity. You put it on, and you forget it's there. Microhook. Why does the world's most famous investor wear a watch that hasn't changed in decades? Because sometimes, the ultimate flex is not caring about flexing at all. The collectors Jay-Z, Drake, and beyond. Billionaire entertainers don't just make money, they flex with it. And unlike CEOs who collect businesses, these guys collect art, cars, and yes, watches. Take Jay-Z. His collection is so stacked it could pass for a museum. But the crown jewel? A Patek Philippe Tiffany Nautilus. That turquoise dial isn't just rare, it's practically a cheat code for status. Only a handful exist, and Jay has one sitting on his wrist like it's nothing. Then you've got Drake. He's not just a rapper, he's a walking exhibition of excess. Richard Mille on one night, a Jacob & Co. Astronomia on the next. That's a watch with a spinning galaxy inside the case. Who else can pull that off without looking ridiculous? Only Drake. And here's the microhook. Some billionaires hoard companies. These guys hoard art and watches. They're not buying timepieces just to tell time. They're staking territory and culture. Every piece they wear is a statement. I run this era. Old money tends to whisper. Think Patek Calatravas, slim Vacheron dress pieces, watches that slip under a cuff and only another collector would notice. The power is in the restraint. New money, completely different energy. It's Richard Mille in neon colors. Audemars Piguet ice to the bezel. Hublots the size of a fist. The whole point is that you can't miss it. It's the contrast between a European aristocrat wearing something his grandfather passed down and a Silicon Valley founder dropping 7 figures the week after an IPO. And here's the heart of it. A watch is never just a watch. It's a declaration. How you want the world to see you. The statement pieces. When money means no limits. Jacob & Co. Billionaire Watch. $18 million. Worn by Floyd Mayweather. The one-off Richard Mille RM56 with sapphire case. Hook. These are the kinds of watches that make even billionaires stop and stare. The unexpected outliers. Now here's where it gets interesting, because not every billionaire flexes a Patek or a Richard Mille. Some go the opposite route. Take Ingvar Kamprad, the man who built IKEA. A fortune worth tens of billions. And yet on his wrist? A cheap Seiko quartz. Reliable, unfussy, almost invisible. Exactly the same philosophy as IKEA itself. Good design, mass-produced, affordable. The watch wasn't just a timekeeper, it was a statement of values. Then there's Amancio Ortega, founder of Zara and one of the richest men in Europe. The guy could buy entire watch boutiques without blinking, but what does he wear? A plain steel watch. The kind of thing you could pick up at any department store. That's the point. His entire empire was built on fast fashion, making the ordinary accessible. His watch mirrors that mindset. And then you have Chuck Feeney, the duty-free billionaire who famously gave away almost his entire fortune while he was alive. On his wrist, the humble Casio F91 watt. Plastic case, $10, sold everywhere. It might be the most anti-luxury watch ever made, and yet it became his signature. Why? Because Feeney lived like he had nothing to prove. And that's the twist. Sometimes true wealth isn't in flaunting diamonds or tourbillons. Sometimes real power is wearing something that costs almost nothing. So what do billionaires actually wear? The truth is, it's never about price alone. It's about what the watch says. Sometimes it says, I built empires. Sometimes it says, I don't need to prove anything. You've just seen the full spectrum of billionaire taste, from million-dollar diamond-encrusted pieces to the humble $15 Casio. And here's the thing. Those choices say more about personality than price tag. So now it's your turn. If money didn't matter, what would you wear on your wrist? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. I actually read every single one. And if you're into stories like this, don't stop here. Hit subscribe, because the next video is going to be a breakdown of the most important watches ever worn and movie history pieces that didn't just tell time. They told entire stories on screen.